This week Parashat Teze in Chodesh Elul, and the Mefarshim say what's the connection between the Parashat Teze and Chodesh Elul. So the Parashat starts Teze la milchama al oivecha, when you go out to war against your enemy, untano Hashem elekecha biyadecha. Hashem would give over him in your hand. And you take it captive. Interesting, Torah says Teze la milchama al oivecha. When you go out to war, Hashem would give over him to you. It's very interesting mentality and psychology in Teshuvah. Somebody comes to me and tells me that, Rabbi, I have such a great nisayim, I cannot overcome. I tell him, what do you do about it? Nothing. Why nothing? Because I cannot overcome. I know that I cannot overcome. Then what should I do about it? I know as a fact that I cannot overcome. Do you know? This pasuk in this parasha is telling you, you are wrong. You are wrong for whatever that you are thinking. You are wrong in the mentality of life. Because Torah's perspective is different. What is Torah's perspective? Look at the Torah. When you go to war against your enemy, Hashem gives him over to your hand. You don't have to be victorious. You don't have to overcome. What's your job? Not to overcome. Because if anybody would think that he has to overcome his war, he wouldn't start the war, and nobody would do teshuvah. Torah is telling us the teshuvah is not overcoming a war. Teshuvah is don't surrender. Go out. Do whatever that you could do. If you surrender, if one surrenders, there is no hope. He can't do anything. But once you go out to war, what's going to happen? It's not in your hand the victorious. HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes you to be victorious. Untanu Hashem elekecha biyadecha. I have a proof, 100% proof for you. Get a back to Shuvah and ask him, how many years you have becoming back to Shuvah? He says 3-4 years. Ask him, 5 years ago, what did you think? You would think that you would keep kashrut? No, it was a dream of life. You would think that you could keep Shabbat? No, it was a dream of life. What happened? All of a sudden it happened. At that time I was thinking, that's impossible mission. It cannot be done. I cannot overcome. I cannot be victorious. Torah says, when you go out to war, just go out, don't surrender. Start the war in a way. Once you start the war, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu would give over the enemy in your hand. Hashem would give the Yetzer Hara overcomes you. Therefore, in the Olam of Teshuvah, on Chodesh Elul, you have to understand that we have to do something about it. We cannot just sit down. Once we get to la milchama, we shouldn't surrender. We should start the war. There's an amusement park. This amusement park, somebody, in other words, a giant comes out, very fearful and very scary, and it comes to you. And you know as a fact that it cannot do anything to you. And it comes closer and closer to you. There is a button in the middle of his body. You have to go there and push the button. A very interesting study. They got 100 people, and this giant came to them. They know as a fact that this giant doesn't do anything to them, and they know that the only thing that they have to do is to push the button, and this fearful giant in front of you cannot harm you, cannot do anything to you. What do you think? What's the percentage that they could go and push the button? From 100 people, only 3%, 5% could do that. And from that, we learn something very important in life. What do we see? We see that the capability of life doesn't depend on your physical capability. It depends on the mental capability. If mentally you feel that you cannot do it, you wouldn't do. Even though physically you know it's in your hand, you could do it. But the mentally you feel is scary, mentally you feel it's impossible, that cannot be done, and you are not going to do it. Even though as a fact you know it's going to harm you, it doesn't do anything to you, but at the end of the day, 3% from 100 people, they go and push the button. 97 people, they're afraid and they are not doing it. Unbelievable Yesod in Teshuvah. If Yetzer Hara comes like the big giant, and you know that you could do it, but mentally you are not ready. Mentally you are not convinced. Therefore, a person would be out of 97 people. But if a person listens to the Pasuk, in a word that you have, don't think about the overcoming. Don't think that you should overcome. Think about, I'm not surrendering, I do it. Very interesting point we learned in the Parashat. Torah says that when they went to war, they took shivrei luchot with themselves. They took broken tablets with themselves in war. Somebody asked, at the end of the day, broken tablets doesn't present something good. Broken tablets shows that Har Israel sinned. Now, why do we go to war? Take the broken tablet with yourself. When you go to war, you should get the real tablet. It wasn't okay to take the real tablet. But why broken tablet? At the end of the day, broken tablet doesn't represent something good. Why broken tablet? See, Torah wants to tell us the most important psychology in war is even if our tablets gets broken, there is a remedy for it. We could do something about it. The Har Israel, the tablet were broken, and they overcame, and they did it. They passed the stage. This is the most important thing in psychology of a person. A person knows that and realizes that and takes that in account, then is a much greater fighter. Somebody who feels only focused on overcoming, then he would be paralyzed. He cannot do it. He cannot make it. Person has to know our war in Elul is don't surrender. We have to do something about it. Now, if it happens in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year from now, 10 years from now, 50 years from now, I'm not going to become one with this. So interesting that when it comes to a Avera sin, we call somebody that's Avera, Ba'al Avera. When it comes to a mitzvah, bar mitzvah, we call it bar mitzvah. Son of a mitzvah, or owner, or Baal, husband of the Avera. How do you say, what's the difference? How come by mitzvah we call it son, by Avera we call it Baal, or husband? Because son cannot be disconnected. Father and son, no matter what happens to our father and son, forever. Baal, ownership, and the husband could be disconnected. You could disconnect, you could create a new relationship. Therefore, that is the rule we should feel. Averot or Baal, we disown them. It's a matter of time. Person should not come one with the sin. And that's the greatest message of the parasha, that when you go to a war, you should know that you shouldn't focus on the victory. You should focus that you should not surrender. Once you go to a war, once you start the war, in other words, if let's say that somebody was Kadosh till now, something comes up, you should tell, I want to be Kadosh 1 more minute. 1 more minute. Minute saves one's life. 1 more minute. Because Yetzer Hara goes the other way. Yetzer Hara says, if you don't seize the moment, if you don't do it now, you're going to lose it. You're going to say, no, 1 more minute I want to be Kadosh. 1 more minute I want. Yetzer Hara says that don't get up today, sleep today, you are very tired, tomorrow go to Selichot. You tell him, no, I go today, tomorrow I go to sleep. The same way that it comes to you, the same way you have to answer him. So that's the way to fight with Yetzer Hara. You should not surrender, and you should start the war, and then HaKadosh Baruch Hu would give over the enemy in your hand.